Now, obviously, there's nothing inherently wrong or bad about your home looking like other people's homes, but if you clicked on this video, chances are you've probably still got some unhealed wounds from childhood that manifest in needing to feel special or chosen or like you're just slightly above everyone else. So if you want your home to feel #unique, keep watching. I did steal this video idea directly from Lindsay McDaniel, so before you subscribe to me, make sure to go give her some love. And if you're new here, my name is Medora. I use they, them pronouns. I make videos about home design for girls, gays, and theys. And today we're talking about why your home looks like everyone else's and how to fix it. Number one is probably the most important tip on this list, and also the most obvious, but also probably the most vague in terms of how to actually realistically achieve it, because this is the kind of thing that you just have to figure out for yourself. So number one is to do some soul searching, figure out your values, and figure out what you like and dislike. Like I said, very vague, but more than anything, this is just the process of like being in relationship with yourself and choosing to be an active participant in your life rather than just like a passive bystander. To a certain extent, this process will take your entire life. And also, if you're being intentional about it and like actually putting in some effort rather than just like watching your life float by, that will help this process go much faster. If you can, try to notice what types of themes have popped up in your life recently and over the course of your entire life, and do a little brainstorming session of like how to incorporate that into your everyday life. So for example, one of my themes is simplicity. I very specifically remember the moment when I was a young child, probably like 4, 5, 6, and I saw a sewing pattern with the name Simplicity on there. And I just remember inherently knowing what that word meant and feeling a strong connection to it. And then like over the course of my entire life so far, I've really felt a strong pull towards simpler ways of doing things, simpler ways of being, simplifying my life, simplifying my belongings, stuff like that. So what that has kind of looked like in practice is selling or donating things that I don't need anymore, that aren't serving me, that aren't adding to my life in some way. It's also looked like looking at my relationships and going through a bit of a discernment process about what types of qualities I want in the people who are in my life. It's also looked like the process of centering and prioritizing collective and personal liberation. So whatever that ends up looking like in any given phase of my life, that is the priority. And as long as whatever I'm doing is a step closer towards that, then that's all that matters to me. If you really get stuck trying to figure out what your values are, definitely go, look at some list online of like different values that people can have. But honestly, I would, again, just recommend looking back at your life, thinking about different themes that have showed up, different things that you have felt passionately about in the past, and what feels important to you right now. And then for figuring out what you like and dislike, really the only practical tip I have is to go try new things. That's it. Obviously, it's a little harder living under capitalism when you don't have a lot of access to resources, but just because you don't have money doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have access to a car or access to community or stuff like that. Maybe you can like trade a lamp that you're not really loving anymore for one of your friend's side tables. If you aren't connected to community where you live, maybe you could like make up some flyers and go to your local library and host a decor swap. And then, of course, there's always the free section on Craigslist. And even if you don't want to bring new things into your home, try switching up your furniture layout or moving an art piece from your bathroom into your living room. Do a new little styling moment, paint something a new color, like try something new. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a big commitment. Just try something new. Number two is that you are only finding your inspiration from the interior design section on Pinterest. Leave your house, go to events, hang out with friends, just live your life and let that inspire your home design. Find inspiration outside of home decor. Get off Pinterest, or at least the interior design section of Pinterest, and find inspiration from literally anything else. It can be the clothes in your wardrobe. It can be the trees outside. It can be taking an afternoon to restyle something in your home. It can be flipping through a magazine. It could be a song you heard. It can literally be anything. What's the vibe you're going for? What types of colors or textures or sounds or smells or materials would help bring that vibe into your home? And what are practical ways that you actually need those colors, textures, sounds, materials, etc. in your home? Number three, everything in your house looks like it was manufactured within the last 5 years. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with things that have been manufactured recently, and things that have been manufactured recently are much more likely to be poor quality, not built to last, not designed well, and have a much bigger environmental and ethical or lack thereof footprint. So I personally feel that vintage things just automatically have better energy to them, but there's a caveat. Things that are old and well cared for and well designed have so much life to them, but things that are old and not well cared for or old and not well designed just look dated at best. So make sure to find something that is old and well cared for and well designed. That also fits into the function and aesthetic of your home. Number 4, everything in your house is either hand-me-downs or thrifted or found for free on the side of the road, or just in general, things that you didn't intentionally choose with specific goals in mind. They're more things that you kind of just happened to acquire over the years. I totally understand the mindset of, I'm poor, I don't have money, this thing is free, and therefore I will get it and it will be better than nothing. And you do kind of need to discern when it's time to let go of something. That mindset is helpful in certain circumstances, but as we're trying to like curate and define our style, it's not going to be very helpful anymore. Honestly, one of the best things that I've ever done for my home is really figure out my mindset around bringing new things into my life and really having a list going in my head of what I actually need ahead of time and looking for specific things rather than just being like, that's pretty, I want it. Because that is capitalism's main goal, is to keep us stuck in the mindset of, ooh, that's pretty, I want it. And that is not helpful for any of us. On a related note, number 5 is kind of getting more into that mindset of, do you actually functionally need this thing in your home? Do you actually love it more than anything else you've ever seen? Or is it just cheap or pretty or what we tend to associate with being middle class or aspiring to be middle class? Because so much of home design today, at least for the average person, is very much about trying to fit into what we all think the middle class currently looks like, whether that's true or not. You know, these gray mid-century sofas that everyone loves? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Number 6 is that you haven't upgraded the things that you use and touch every single day. Obviously, depending on your budget, this process will probably take many years to upgrade the things that you, again, actually use and touch every single day. But when you are upgrading things, make sure to prioritize the things that you use and touch every single day over the things that you aren't physically touching or you're using maybe like once a week or once a month, because this will improve the quality of your life the most out of everything. For example, I have an antique copper pot that I really love, and every time I use it to make pasta, it makes me so happy in a way that just like does not exist when I'm using a regular, $5 thrifted stainless steel pot from Goodwill or something. It genuinely fills my life and my home with so much more joy and happiness and contentment and life that it is so worth it. Number 7, you've been too focused on bringing in more texture when you should be focused on bringing in a wider variety of materials. Getting a super chunky throw blanket that has a very exaggerated amount of texture isn't going to do anywhere near as much for your space as making sure that you have real wood and leather and glazed ceramics and metal and all of that. Number 8, the only art you have is flat art that is hanging on your walls. It's just a photo or a canvas or a painting or a drawing. It's just flat. So bring in some 3-dimensional objects, bring in some sculptures, bring in textiles, bring in any sort of physical thing, especially if there's a memory attached to it, that you can put on your wall as art. You don't have to stick to things that are specifically marketed as wall art. You can decorate your home with whatever you want to decorate your home with. And then last but not least is number 9, which is that everything in your home has a very defined purpose, and it's very obvious what that purpose is, and you're using it for that exact same purpose. This is maybe really weird, but I love when things are used very creatively for something other than its intended purpose. And I especially love it when you find something random at a thrift store and you have no idea what it is, but you think of a use for it and you use it in that way. That's just like one of those little human things that makes my brain very happy. I think I've mentioned this in 1 or 2 other videos, but I also really love when people do this with rooms in their house. So maybe you want to use what should be an office as your bedroom instead. Maybe you want to use what should be your living room as a dining room instead. Like, there are no rules here. Obviously, things are usually designed for an intended purpose, but if it's going to work better for you using it in a different way, do that instead. Whatever you do with your things or your space, just make it authentic to you. And also don't get too bogged down with trying to figure out what authentic means for you. Just do what feels right in the moment and the rest will follow. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to appease the YouTube algorithm gods so that they will show you more of my videos. If you want to help keep a roof over my head, go to patreon.com/medorakia or join as a channel member below. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, go to medorakia.com. Bye.